Monster is a 2018 crime drama directed by Anthony Mandler with screenplay by Rada Blank, Cole Wiley, and Janice Schaffer. It's based on Monster by Walter Dean Myers.
Stars Kevin Harrison Jr., ASAP Rocky. I'm not even going to tell you his real name, ASAP Rocky. Jeffrey Wright and Jennifer Ill. It has a tomato meter rating of 67% with an audience score of 68%.
So while technically released in 2018 to limited audiences at the Sundance Film Festival, Monster is now seeing its first major release last week on Netflix. The film follows Steve Harmon, who's a young honor student in Brooklyn who finds himself facing life in prison after he is charged with murder. So this film, honestly, at first, it really impressed me. I do think that there were some great story, supported by some really impressive performances. Jeffrey Wright really stood out in this. There he is. I loved him in Westworld, and really, like, I thought it was great as the father in this role, or in this film, excuse me. And honestly, like, from the very beginning, I was engaged. I didn't get bored. I liked the story, and I really enjoyed what they did with it. So while I feel like the film, it's definitely not perfect, right? It's a decent movie in my opinion. There are some problems with it, but I still really enjoyed it, and I feel like it had some interesting and important things to say. I had poignant in my notes. I had poignant things to say. God, I need to read my notes more. That was a much better word than interesting. But,
yeah, your notes did a good job. You should listen to them next time. I
should. See, okay, that's why I need to hook up that second monitor so I could actually have the notes visible. But
Pardon me.
You're good. I do feel like it had some poignant things to say about the American justice system. And almost for that reason alone, I feel like it is worth watching. As far as giving it a verdict, I think it's kind of obvious. I am going to give this one a yes, obviously, from what I've said so far. I know that this is kind of echoing a few things I've said about movies recently, a couple of episodes ago, but I do think this is the type of movie that will, if you're open to it, engage you in some thought and exploration of maybe preconceptions you may have, just different things like that. I think that this type of movie is, conscious expanding as long as you can allow it to be. And that is, honestly, I do think that the world could be a better place if more people had experiences like that, where they, that think about things differently, critically think more, and things like that. So, I mean, for that reason, I think that films like this are important to have. So that's my main draw to this. What do you feel like?
Yeah. So this is an interesting one to me. I feel like this is a bad movie with good performances and good cinematography and interesting. Well, not even interesting is the wrong word. Interesting is not a word. And cerebral, I guess, kind of themes. Like you said, I mean, I agree with you. Like, if you let it be something that can kind of like open your eyes, so to speak, or whatever, then it can be, but you have to kind of let it. But I think there's ways to increase your, understanding of certain things without this movie. I think there's better ways to go about exploring the themes that the movie gives you. I thought the performances were pretty good, in my opinion. There were a couple roles that were a little too much, like overacted, I think. And
the prosecutor, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Yes, his role is way over the top. It's like, are you trying to be Al Pacino right now? Because it's not working. This is not Devil's Advocate, buddy. And I thought that I liked Kelvin Harrison. I thought he did a really good job. I think he did great work in the voiceovers. I think that ASAP Rocky actually did a really good job. I always get excited when rappers do movies, because it's always fun to see like how they take on another art form. John David Washington, I love him and all the stuff he's in. I loved him in Ballers. I really enjoyed the performances. Jeffrey Wright, I think, is, and I said this to you before we started filming. He's like an actor he's good in movies that are bad. Like even if he's in a bad movie, he does a good job. But for me, this one, it has things that are good. The cinematography is excellent. I think a lot of the ways that they filmed stuff was great. I think there's a lot of individual performances that were good. The plot was too fast. This movie shouldn't have been, I think it was like a 90-minute movie.
Yeah.
This movie should have been closer to 2 hours, maybe 2 hours and 15, and maybe 2 hours and some change. I think the plot just needed to happen a little slower. I don't try to call it before the movie ends, but I already knew what was going to happen.
Yep.
Really quickly. So for me, I personally liked parts of it. Generally, I don't think it was a good movie, but it had some stuff in there that was decent. So if you like good cinematography and you like good acting, then watch this. But if you want a clever plot, this is not clever. It's just not. So generally speaking, though, if I have to give a black and white answer, I got to say no on this one.
That's fair. I do think, yeah, that is a really good point. I like a lot of what you brought up there. I am interested, because as you basically generalized, called it in general a bad movie, but it sounded like a lot of the constructive parts of it, like the performances, the cinematography, a lot of it you did like. But yeah, so I'm interested to get more into the pacing, I guess. Yeah, and then those parts that were kind of not so great. So yeah, I mean, like you said, this one is really easy to figure out exactly where it's going. I was also I was on the same boat where I knew immediately. I think one of my first notes is like, this is how this is going to end. And I was 100% like right on. And I didn't even get any help from this little guy over here. It was not even Spoiler Terry that told me. It was, I got it on my own. Yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into some of the details of this.